The
as of
lighting
late.
looks like it's like a bad photo shoot for like a band photo. Like the lighting, at least at the reflection I can see of myself, it looks like it's like I took
Yeah.
a bad band photo or something. I'm like on
No,
the
it's
bass
it's it's
player.
like a 2005 hipster
We're talking about the same thing.
American. It's an American Apparel photo shoot from back
Okay,
in the
yeah.
day, like the mid 2000s.
Yeah, 100%. Except like for depressed dads. So, hi, welcome to Royal Path. I'm your host, Andrew, and tonight I'm going to ask Cyprian and Father, what is the most your dadisms, like, like the dadisms, like your dad life, what's the biggest stereotype that you guys actually like do? Like, what's the biggest dad thing that you do?
I mean, I literally cannot help it. Just I'm a dad joke guy. I don't even know how that. I don't even know how that
Oh
happened. I
no.
can't help it.
Oh.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah,
Forgive me.
Uh,
I know.
yeah.
I'm losing inches. I've already lost most of my hair. I just losing teeth. I'm dying. I'm literally dying. And having dad jokes is part of me dying. I'm slowly, I'm slowly, rapidly dying in front of everyone. So it's like Benjamin Button, but without becoming cute. I'm just going straight to like decrepit and dead.
Yeah. Well, I mean, maybe the dad joke is like like the gaseous air escaping the body or something. Like
Mm,
maybe that's like the, hey,
could
father,
be.
I think you've never looked better. You're good.
ah,
You're good for
lying's a sin.
that.
So
Uh, hey, okay. All right.
Okay.
Cyprian, what about you?
Um, I am the loud in the audience during sports dad.
Okay.
I cannot help the yelling onto the field, all that stuff. I'm that guy to the point where there's been a couple of times where like parents here, because that's not culturally, like that's not their thing. Like the locals here, they don't really do that. They barely even cheer. And so there's been a few times when like no, the like sort of Americans, it's no problem. They're doing it too, but I'm the loudest. But there's been a few when locals have like been next to me when I've started and then have like slowly I could see they like look and then they're like slowly like, let's go
We do
somewhere
not know this guy. We don't know this guy. Hey, Cyprian, have you ever gotten into it with a ref over like one of your daughter's games or something like that? You're
I've
like, oh
definitely
no, that was
I've
not
said
a
some things.
foul. Yeah.
I've said some things to refs, but I'm not that bad. I'm not that bad. So, but I am. Yeah, sometimes I'll catch myself and I'll look around and I'll be like, "Oh, I'm the only one making noise right now." I'm just like, but I can't help it. So yeah, I'm definitely that guy. I'm definitely that guy.
Well, I enjoy a trip to the dump. I just love throwing stuff away. I just like I
I'm
will load
so
up
glad
my
you're gonna say that and not the bathroom. I was like, man, Andrew.
wow. No, I don't think that's just dads. I think everybody does that. But I'm just saying, like, I love throwing everything into the back of the truck. Like I just did it the other day, just like because we moved and I just got rid of a bunch of stuff and I put it all in a truck. It's just sitting in my garage. And I put it all in my truck and took it to the dump. And it was like full of dads like me, just throwing away like broken furniture, old toys that don't work anymore, like just whatever we could find. And we're all like loving it. Like all of us are in great moods because we're just finally getting this crap out of our house. And I was just like, this is probably my biggest
Mm.
dad thing. That and then I also do dad jokes a lot. Like the classic, if my son walks up to me, he's like, I'm hungry. I'm like, hi, hungry, I'm dad. And,
Oh
things of
no.
that nature. But Hey, I try to be fun. I try and keep it fun. So, I don't know what we're
Well,
talking about.
on the note of dads, I think that we would be remiss if we didn't talk about this recent thing with Il Papa in Constantinople, the Pope,
Mm,
Il Papa,
mm,
right?
mm.
Um,
Yeah, we gotta talk about it.
very interesting. Very interesting. Um, it made me think, Father. I was wondering, there was an interesting thing that happened. So we had the Merc streaming Iveron icon of
Mhm,
Hawaii, right? Come to
mhm.
Saipan. Also went to Guam and I
Was that its
believe
first time there?
first time here. First time here.
Wow.
But
Wow.
but we were told now, Father Nectario said, will not be the last time. So we're getting an official mission here. Glory to God.
Like,
Priests
Oh,
will be coming
really?
now. Yep, priests will be coming now on like a monthly basis,
Huh.
starting the beginning of this coming year. So
tight,
glory to God, all
tight.
wonderful. It was completely moving. Wow. Anybody who gets a chance to experience this icon, wow.
That's a question though, Cyprian.
Yes, yes.
Well, you didn't believe me or what?
Yeah. Well, I didn't
You know what I'm
understand
talking
you.
about?
It
You know what I'm
wasn't
talking
that
about?
yes, I know, I
You
know,
were
I know,
just like,
I know.
ah.
You called it. You called it. No, no, no. You called it. You called it. It wasn't that I didn't believe you. It's that I didn't understand. I didn't have the full understanding, Father. You know what I mean? Like you said, oh, there'll be a mission now. I didn't fully get it. Like, and I also, there was no way for me to, without the experience, there was no way for me to also get the fullness because,
Hmm.
like, a lot changed in terms of the
Hmm.
orientation toward Christ of the Russian community here
Hmm.
that
Hmm. That's what happens when she shows up.
I had not anticipated how profound, including my wife. Not gonna
Hmm.
lie. You
Hmm.
know what I mean? Not gonna lie, Father,
Hmm.
like to where, she was the one sitting like, I want a giant church here. I want a church with a giant cupola, at the top. I want all this. And I was like, wait, what is this? This is you now? Like, okay, wow, all right. So, and even as I was on my way out here to record, she's
Glory to
like, did
God.
you tell them about the icon? That was what she said to me as I went out. I was like, they know, but I'm sure we'll talk about it. But okay, so that's all wonderful, and I could talk about that forever. But all I would say is, I don't want to talk about it. People need to experience it. If you get a
Can
chance
Amen.
I
to
say
experience
one
it,
more
experience
thing?
it.
Can I say one more thing?
Yes,
Cyprian, you and
yes.
I have never met in person, but we venerated the same icon. How cool is
That's as
that?
good. It's as good as meeting in person. It
Oh,
is. It really is
100%.
because we're
And
connected in that way.
Cyprian, hold on to your thought. I have one other thing I just want to say. I had a friend, oh, well, I have a friend, he's still a friend, who went to Japan, right? And he met with a Japanese Orthodox priest. And the Japanese Orthodox priest, he was trying to do confession with him. And he said his name. He's like, your name? And he said it. He's like, and I don't want to name the person who said this,
Sure.
but basically he ended up saying like, I don't know who that is. Like the priest, or a Japanese priest, and his English wasn't very good. So finally, like the person thought about it, and then he said it like in the correct like Greek pronunciation, like the more Greekish term,
Oh,
or like that. And then suddenly the Japanese priest knew what he was talking about. So
Mm.
sure.
because of Christ, an English speaking man and a Japanese speaking man were able to understand a message in Greek. Like, and I'm like, where else do you get this? That is so incredible. Anyway, I'm done.
Okay, so this is the part that I wanted to bring up because I had a very interesting experience with this. Right. So when I when when I was told that the icon was coming, I mean, basically, there was no one else to kind of organize what could be organized, right? So it was like, okay, falls on me, and I'm honored to do it. It's the Queen of Heaven. I'm going to figure out the situation. And so, is the brothers who were here? They just got tonsured readers, by the way. I don't know if you knew that, Father. They
Glory
were
to God.
they were just yes, both of them together just on Sunday, and so. They came also, and they were readers during the services. But they told me I was thinking like, well, should I go and try to do a situation where we like set up a chapel or whatever, like we had done when you
Mm.
came, Father, and then And when Father Kirill came and they were like, no, actually, she likes to be in existing churches, even if they're not Orthodox.
Hmm.
So like they were like, we've been in Episcopal churches, and I for a second I thought like it kind of shook me a little bit because I was like, oh, that's really interesting, like strange like that. And so I was like, okay. I was like, she'll figure it out. By a series of coincidences, wound up with like the first person that I talked to, the first person that came up, whatever, wound up in a series of things where the bishop, who's a relatively new Catholic bishop, he's not the COVID bishop, he's a new guy,
Hmm.
relatively young. This is his first. He was ordained a bishop and sent over here. Was like, oh, we would love to support this icon coming and services, and like, so long as we can do it canonically, which they have a canon lawyer who's also a young guy who was like, oh, we can turns out we can totally have Orthodox services in our churches. Like, turns out there's a canon for it. And so ended up having it in the Cristo Rye church, which is here, which is one of the larger churches. It was wonderful. They were super supportive. There was kind of a little bit of a weird moment where someone who's a Catholic tried to go up and get communed, and they had to be told that they couldn't. But other than that, it was like it was fantastic. People were blown away. A lot of Catholics came. They were blown away by the icon. They loved the service, everything, right?
Glory to God.
Bodes very well, I think, for the church being here. However, and this is the interesting part, in going and speaking with the bishop, it became very, very clear to me in our conversations that he was trying to impress upon me that he's down with the Orthodox. And it felt kind of the way, and Father, I know you've experienced this. It felt kind of the way of like when you're around like a suburban liberal lefty white person who's trying to
people.
really impress upon you about their black friends.
Yeah, I'm an ally.
And how they're down with black people, how they're an ally, and they're going to bring up all these things. You know, he had clearly pulled out this flyer of this recent conference he had been to, and then he made a point of opening it up and showing me and this is a bishop who's the Eastern Catholic, you know, look, he's Orthodox, and this guy's Orthodox. And I was like, why are you doing this? What is, and I was like, is this coming from you? Or is this something that's a vibe within Rome right now of something they're trying to do? And then when this thing came out about the Pope, I was like, oh, this is like a thing. They're doing like a thing right now.
It's beyond that. I mean, I know this may be the one. Not this whole thing, but this episode. I mean, I'm just gonna throw some stuff out.
Wait, I didn't preface it, Father? Do you want to preface it with telling people who don't know what it is that we're talking about that happened?
Yeah. So those who don't know, I don't even know if you want to pull up a little thing, but
I can pull it up.
Pull it up. So basically, this last week, the Pope, who is he? Oh my gosh, what's his name?
Yeah,
Leo.
Pope Leo.
Pope Leo.
Pope Leo. Interestingly enough, by the way, Pope Leo.
Why is that interesting, Father?
Huh?
Why is that interesting?
I don't know which one he is, but like, you know, we should all be familiar with Pope Leo, the Great. I mean, because we commemorate him all the time, you know. And I'm wondering if the timing of that is, you know, I don't know which Leo he is. I don't know if, you know, I don't want to like, I'm just speculating right now or grasping at straws, but if it would be interesting because Pope Leo the Great is like one of the Catholic popes from the ancient time that we, you know, commemorate often because of his role in the iconoclast controversy, you know. But anyways, like being against iconoclasm, you know, kind of like the West intervened to a certain degree. But I digress. So to celebrate, I can't remember what year it was, anniversary of Nicaea, Pope Leo was invited to Constantinople by the ecumenical patriarch Bartholomew, and he attended liturgy and they had a ecumenical service there, and it wasn't quite full communion, and just it's gosh, I'm so tempted. I'm on the cusp. I want to be respectful just for the sake of being respectful, but I also want to say it kind of, sinners and sinners who are kind of doing something that they shouldn't do, and when they're teenagers and they try to get as close to the line as they can without actually, transgressing. It kind of feels like that. You know what I mean? Like, how close can we get to doing something without actually like doing it, and it's one of those things, and we knew it was coming. There had been rumors, but we knew it was coming. And so that's my real lowbrow kind of summary of what it was. But it was it from it. What I did see, I saw, Pope Leo formally calling for a full communion with the Orthodox Church. So, I mean, it's the closest we've ever come to, the overtures are beyond strong publicly. Um, now,
About
yeah,
not after Leo the Great. He chose the name Pope Leo after Pope Leo the 13th.
okay,
Yeah,
great,
so just let that know.
great. Thank you. But that being said, I'll let people know. The reason why this is possible is because things are already happening sight unseen to the vast majority of people. Um, and so the reality of this formally is in many ways, I saw an article where someone was saying, look, it's a lot further off than people think because blah, 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 blah. And I'm just telling people, if you read something where they say, oh, this is further than people think it is, da, 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 I'm just telling you, it's not really true. There's things that have been happening sight unseen. I can't really get too much into it, but just trust me, I tell you, there's been things that have been happening sight unseen in Rome and in other places, but in particular Rome. And these movements, um, it's kind of like tech, right? But by the time you get tech, government's already had something for however many years. So the fact that we're at right now, don't be fooled and think that the formal overtures that you see with your eyes are how things actually go. It's not. It's there are things that are happening behind the scenes, and then bit by bit, it's released to people in such a way that they can accept it. But there has already been movements in certain, in GOA parishes and things like that to get people to accept, what's happening. So it's, and the other thing is we shouldn't act like it's something that just kind of came out of nowhere. I mean, this movement has been coming for a long time. I mean, it's just, but eventually things do start coming to a head. And, there's something else which I found really interesting, and I don't know if you can pull this up, Cyprian, but something else the Pope said was, he's making a lot of overtures to actually help. I'm not saying that this is intention, but definitely I think those evangelicals and Protestants who are catching on to it, they're liking what they're hearing because he recently came out and they're walking back co-mediatrix language of the Mother of
Yeah.
God, and he came out and he was basically really trying to, from his perspective, correct the errors in regards of Mariology within the Roman Catholic Church. More silence during the Mass, trying to really bring back a more conservative liturgical experience, which is like, that's great and that's fine. But what's interesting is I found that really, really interesting because I'm gonna tell you something. We all, if you're not familiar, just read the Veneration of the Mother of God by St. John Maximovich if you want to get a better understanding of how the church understands Our Lady. And this is interesting because we won't, this is obviously a real heavy, Our Lady heavy episode. And people know I don't really like to talk about Our Lady publicly. But today's, her feast day, the entry into the temple. And, I want to just come out and honor her and defend her in this sense where it's, and I don't know if Cyprian might have an actual term for it. I'm just going to say what I've been feeling the last 3 or 4 days since I saw this. It's like, yes, we've always, had a struggle with their error in regards to their approach to her, right? And the thing I try to explain to people about the Immaculate Conception in regards to their dogma is that anything that seeks to, remove Our Lady's, relation to us in regards to humanity is a problem. It's a problem. But there's something about this where I'm like, something doesn't feel right. You know what I mean? Something doesn't feel right. And even though it's technically, and I haven't gotten to the encyclical, like actually read what it said yet, but there's just something where it's like, I don't like it. And I think part of what I don't like about it is, I saw one guy and I don't even know, he's like some evangelical guy, face tats, whatever, but he's got a lot of numbers. And basically, I saw him, and then from there, I could see a lot of Protestants kind of holding on to this because from there, that's just running with, yeah. See, even the Pope is saying now, prayer to saints and to Mary is wrong, and I'm like, because remember the thing.
Yeah,
I'm
he
really
didn't say
worried about.
nothing about prayers not going to her or to the saints. But it's interesting that they could spin it that way.
They spin it that way. They spin it that way. And what I'm worried about, is, remember, I was really hot on this the last time we talked, right? But it's, it's this thing with Father Josiah and, Gavin Ortland. And this Gavin Ortland guy's, again, it's one of those things where it's like, usually you want to ignore flies, whatever, but I'm telling you, he's a problem. And it's the type of thing where I see people can catch on to this. And you got to understand that on the real, in regards of spiritual warfare, the enemy hates Our Lady. And so there's something to this in this overture to really have the ecumenism on the right, the kind of Christian ecumenism. Because remember, anything to see, one of the problems that people aren't aware of, and Father Peter's brought this up before. He talked about this a little bit, but I think the strategy is correct. We have to be careful because so many people in the Orthodox Church are just looking for like the simple overtures. Okay, no more creed. Excuse me, no more filioque. Great. We'll get rid of all the things. And it's kind of like the okey doke, it's kind of like the way that if the Orthodox Church, if the Orthodox aren't careful, they'll fall for the same, kind of trap that those Melkites, that the Byzantine quote unquote Catholics fall into, because these kind of overtures of like, hey, yeah, the filioque, our approach to the conception, we can let all those things go. But the thing is when you want people who are just wanting unity for the sake of unity, because they think that unity means this is what our Lord wants, right? The unity has to be based upon truth and not certain capitulations given for the sake of gaining. Because to what end? Like to what end are we looking? What I worry about is, on the one hand, I'm definitely not like, nope, under no circumstance. It's not like that. It's not like, no, us as Orthodox Christians, we should not be defined as who we are just because we don't like Rome. Do you see what I'm saying? Like that's not our definition.
Sure.
We don't like what's going on with Rome because of our love and our adherence to the faith. You see what I'm saying? That's what it is. It is, it's the same thing why you shouldn't become Orthodox because you hated being a Protestant. That's not a reason to become Orthodox. Speaking of which, St. John Maximovich, he healed that Jewish woman in the hospital, and she wanted to become Orthodox. And St. John says that's not a reason to become Orthodox. Don't become Orthodox just because you got healed. You see what I'm saying? And so this, forgive me, but this royal path moment is super important because, and I'm sorry for going on, but I just want to kind of get all this thought out. It's like one of the things we have to really watch out for, and people are going to say I'm crazy, but that's totally fine. Um, but we have to watch out for this movement because this movement, look, we're so sick of the infighting. Maybe I've said this before, but like unity, that's what Christ wants. The devil comes to divide. We want unity. We should do it. You Orthodox that are just kind of like dragging your feet and you're just being particular paranoid, you just don't want unity because you want to be defined by what you hate. Like these are the accusations that I'm sure going to come. But watch this, guys. I'm just saying, right? Who's that senator who was recently calling out about like he named in particular
Oh,
the Serbian church, right?
yeah.
Like, don't think that the timing of all this is how you know that's the smoke
I was
from the
gonna say
gun.
that, Father. Yeah, the timing was too. It was the next day that he was in Constant. The Pope was in Constantinople after he had been like, Rokor is a front for Putin. Like, wait, what?
Yeah,
What
and
are you
Serbia.
talking
Yeah,
about?
yeah, yeah. I talk about Serbia too. So the thing is,
Yeah.
the thing I want to say about this too is just, and I'll shut up. Please forgive me. Um, Everybody has to remember this, right? It came out publicly this year about um the EP basically being a front for the CIA. Like they admitted it. It was you can maybe find that too. I mean, it was public, right? So what are we talking about here? You know?
Well, so, but I think that maybe I don't know for the first time listener or whoever, there's some context that maybe you're basically stating, Father, that we Orthodox are not opposed to unity with Catholicism just because we just don't like Catholicism. We're
Hmm.
opposed to it because there would be some incapitulations, and the people who would be in favor of that would be like a numbers game. Well, this doubles our numbers. We get like double the numbers, and like our unity, the Christendom is like essentially united again. And
Hmm.
we're saying well, that's not the reason to get
No.
to push this. Like because like I mean, you could probably go as far as like when Lot is beseeching God over Sodom.
No. Abraham.
I
Abraham's beseeching,
always
interceding.
always do
Yeah.
that. I always
Okay.
do that.
Okay.
But and he said if I can find 100, if I can find 50, if I can find 25, like going down because then it's not about a numbers game. What's it?
Yeah.
Okay. So what is this? I haven't seen this before.
So it's about. I believe it was about John Kiriakou initially,
Hmm.
is what I
Hmm.
believe. In
Hmm.
back in March, John Kiriakou is like, wow, what he's done is pretty incredible. But I believe
Yeah.
that it was him. Yeah, it was him.
Yeah.
Where he said, "Who? There's no reason not to believe him." He said Patriarch Bartholomew received money basically from the CIA to establish the Orthodox Church of Ukraine,
Hmm.
basically from Hillary Clinton, Secretary of State. And this is a CIA officer saying that. And then, if I'm not mistaken, JD Vance basically confronted him about that
Yeah.
in the Oval
And
Office.
yeah. And like, I mean, I can't I have to just tell the truth. I'm super suspicious of him too. I mean, as everybody knows. It's irrelevant that it's him. Just someone exposing something doesn't mean that they're on your side.
Yeah.
Just so we're
Right.
clear.
Fair enough. Fair
Just
enough.
so we're clear,
Yes.
like, but the thing is the information stands and the information is
Right.
just there. most of us in the church have known that anyways, how these things play out. And, even when you get into the fact of, I don't want to, man, I feel like I'm derailing things a bit, but like, if you want to loop it back in, it's like,
Just let it ride. Let it
I'm saying,
ride.
it's like Bibi Netanyahu's name is not Bibi Netanyahu. We all know that, right?
No, we do
Yeah,
not.
yeah, he's got some European name. I think his father or grandfather changed it to Netanyahu, right?
Yeah, I
So
mean, all those people over there are not, they're not, um, the whole thing with
there's
Ukraine,
deception going on. There's
there's
deception
deception
happening.
going on. The whole thing with
Yeah.
they're Eastern Europeans, right? The whole thing with Ukraine and proxy wars and these proxy wars being the church being looped into that. I mean, this is the thing. This isn't about trying to go in on the level door because we usually have to set it up to go to like where it's really happening on the Ephesians 6 level, right? Because when you understand how these movements to really undermine the church, right? With this, the schismatic false church. I mean, people have forgotten, right? It's like Theodoros, right? The Patriarch of Alexandria speaking out against celebrating with the schismatics. Then boom, like literally, he gets a telegram. I don't know, but you have to assume he gets a telegram. And then literally like 2 weeks later, he's like, oh, nope, never mind. And he's all on board. So these movements that happen, no one said anything. You just kind of sweep it under the rug. But the reality is this move to um, position the church in such a way that she would seemingly, the emphasis here, italic, bold, underline, seemingly be divided is the game. It is the game from my perspective. From my perspective. Um, and I just want to throw this out here too, real quick, because maybe it's all too much, but like, don't get it twisted. The reason why the NPC game that we saw introduced, it's already been there, but it was uncovered. It was rolled out officially during 20. An NPC meaning, you know, um, I got my COVID mask and I got my BLM sticker and I got my LGBT, whatever rainbow, and I got my Ukraine flag. The reason why all of those work together is, of course, there's a social and socioeconomic binding agent that's there. And that's where we get into the geopolitical movements with Ukraine and long-standing resentments and power plays and all that stuff. But I just want to get to the spiritual aspect of it because that spirit of resentment, which is the same spirit that has fueled the Bolshevik Revolution, like all these
Yes.
things,
Yeah.
that spirit is running through all these things. And that spirit is what's been exported en masse to people through various things like music, like entertainment. And so the reason why that's important is because the Levitical class, right? The inversion of the Levitical class, meaning like priestly and, playing music, right? Playing temple music. Uh, that is one side of it, if you're following me, right? So that's popular culture. Um, music, the music that's presented, and the way that moves the moral mind and the moral, kind of ethos of, I mean, what are they doing being, pro rainbow in Ukraine? Like, what's that got to do with anything? You know what I mean? And how's it you can have pro rainbow and Nazism in the same thing? Well, it works actually if you understand if you understand the essence of those things, right? Because remember, a little sidebar, it's homosexuality and any type of racial supremacy are the same spirit, right? Because they're both, anyways. Bring back to that if you want me to explain that more. I just want to finish this part.
I will.
So you have that priestly class inverted, kind of playing the music, moving the hearts of the people, right? And then you have it moving up and to where the principality, right, can be appeased, right? Because instead of God, you have the principality of America, right? The lusting of blood, right? And the lusting of blood through the wars, but also the offering of the soul, the people's music, the people's movement, the debauchery, all those things, they all kind of like move together. And so I know I just went on a super crazy rant, but I just think that's all important because you have to have these overtures to bring in quote unquote, not the church, but quote unquote Christianity. Because once you have that really sealed in, then it makes it very possible for the church, right? Because I just tried to make the distinction, Christianity versus the church, to become assaulted. And if you think you're crazy, you're crazy. I just tried to give a deep dive on what's happening with these overt movements that we saw in regard to the senator, whoever he was senator, congressman, I don't know, and the EP and the Pope meeting together, because
Representative Joe Wilson, Representative Congressman Joe Wilson. Yeah, this is the article. Because they were coming.
Keep it right there. Forgive me. I just want to button it up.
Sorry.
I know it's real sloppy and loose. I just want to button this up because the whole thing, guys, is the movement then to just say, look, these people over here, and it's really identifiable at this point, you know, the Slavic churches, they're the ones who are the problem. They're the ones who are the problem, and they're the ones who you got to, you know, kind of like keep an eye out. McCarthyism, you know, 2.0, whatever. But the point being is watch these movements and how they're going, because it's going to play on the same heartstrings. It's going to be like, look, why can't we just get along? You know, everyone's like, I'm so glad to see Father Josiah and Gavin Norland talking. Like, finally, we're so sick of these Christians splitting hairs over Jesus's nature. That's so dumb, you know?
Is it though?
Is it? I'm sorry, weren't there ecumenical councils? Weren't there ecumenical councils about that? I mean, isn't that the heresy? Isn't that the heresy?
Well, listen, don't you understand that part of what's happening here? It's the same thing that they're doing on the other front with Chalcedon. Because once you start saying Chalcedon's wrong, right? And like, don't get me wrong, I got love for my Coptic brothers and my Ethiopian brothers. That's great. But like, truth is truth. You know what I'm saying? Truth is truth. I'm just saying. And Chalcedon wasn't wrong.
No.
Chalcedon, but the thing is, if you start, how do you undermine an ecumenical council? Well, you're not going to do it by trying to argue truth. You're going to do it by getting people to feel like this is mean. Like, it's mean that we're not together. That's how you move the people, and that's what's happening. That's
but nobody's asking, why are we not together? They're like, they've got this. It's this very strange this idea of, on its face, together is virtuous. I don't understand this strange dichotomy of coming out of 2020, where the whole thing was like, we're going to split people up for like the most ridiculous reasons, like literal social distancing. And the same people who were down with social distancing, like, you must social distance because you don't want to introduce the contagion in their spiritual life. They're like, oh no. Well, this was the Holy Fathers already identified this as being a contagion. Right? That's what the excommunication is about. That's what anathema is about. That's the quarantine. That's the social. We need to social distance you because you are contaminating and introducing death into something that is into life. And it's like, I don't understand the disc. Well, I mean, I guess I just don't know. I don't understand how the same people who are now talking about togetherness as virtue were just. I feel like it was just yesterday that they were talking about, like, oh, don't come near me. Separate.
It's not about preserving. It's not about, like, because we're talking about two separate things here. Because when you talk about social distancing,
but are we, Andrew? But well, are we?
Of course, we know we're not. But bear with me. I'm saying that, like, you're talking about two separate things here, because you're talking about, in the classical American's viewpoint, life and faith are two very separate things. They shouldn't be, but they are. So when you're talking about preserving life, you can social distance because you're preserving life. But if you're talking about preserving faith, That's all emotion. And especially in America, it's all emotion. Faith is all emotion. So, like, if I feel like Jesus supports the mask mandates and the jab and whatever, then that's what the truth is. And to that point, you know who I just found out, what I just found out about today? I guess our old enemy Arius was quite the jingle writer.
Oh
He
yeah. Oh
very
yeah. He was
good
the
at,
Ever Bernays of his time.
yeah, he's
Yeah.
quite the PR man. Like
Yeah.
that's, and
That's how he did it. Yeah,
mhm.
that's how he did it. They
And
say that
Interesting.
they what's the saying? You would hear Arius's hymns in like the marketplace and on the docks and everything. Yeah,
it
he
was in a seaport town, so then people would hear it and take it with them
mm,
to other places. And it was literally like there was a time before there was a sun. There was a time before the sun was made, like
yeah.
in reference to Christ. Like,
Which that gives me back to this whole thing too, because I don't know, maybe we need to find the way back. Forgive me, I got us all lost in the woods, but this thing I was talking about with like the music thing, we've talked about this at length, you know what I mean, in old episodes, but I'm just saying if you begin to really take what we kind of know, but be really formal about it and start thinking about like those principalities and powers and those structures and like how do you like start making sense of the cabal behind the music industry in Hollywood? Like we know that it's there and like whatever, but start trying to make sense of it. Like to what end? You know what I'm saying? Well, what's the end of it? Well, you're harvesting people for the god,
yeah,
for the entity, for for the principality, right? I mean, that's fundamentally the thing. And there's a saying in the church: the devil fell from heaven and landed in the kleros,
hmm,
right? So it's like, for those who don't know, the kleros is where the people chant and the choir's at in the church, right? There is a thing about music. There is a thing about the way that can. I mean, St. Augustine wrote at length about that, his problem with church music in the sense of like, he's basically summarized like it's beautiful, but it's like my heart is moved, but really like is my heart moved because of the emotion, or is it because of the theology that's being brought forth? That was one of his problems. And so this is a thing in regards of gathering the mind and the heart and really winning, seducing, piping people, right? And,
yeah.
and I just think that's important because, again, I feel like we talked about if we didn't, that's fine. But it always kind of was so weird to me. It's like I remember going somewhere with my sons, and I remember like rolling my eyes at a Ukraine flag or whatever, and one of them had said essentially like, that person has no idea where Ukraine is on the map, and I go, exactly. You know that person doesn't know where Ukraine is, and I mean, because they were like some third generation third generation faux hipster that we saw in the car. It was clearly like that, and clearly like their band whatever was wearing the t-shirt. You know what I'm saying? And just that piping is a real thing.
Yeah.
The psyop of quote unquote of the thing. It's a real thing, and when we lose sight of that, I think we're gonna have a real problem because people very easily can just look around and go like, well, maybe we are kind of being harsh about these things, X, Y, and Z. And when you aren't watching out for that emotional manipulation,
Well, yeah, I mean, sorry. I mean, it is what it is, but there's these videos where you can manipulate water just using frequency, right?
Mhm.
So you can just use like frequencies to have the water pour into different shapes and stuff like that. You can actually manipulate a stream of water using just sound.
Mhm.
And I think that I think something with that kind of frequency to it, like a bassy vibrational music has
I mean,
like
Kanye
it,
said so.
what's that, sorry?
Kanye said so. I mean, that's
Well,
that's the whole thing about the 808 and its use and why certain things began to take on, why
Trap,
certain EDM and stuff
trap.
started
It's
crap.
trap music. Yeah.
yeah.
It's the
So
808. It's the 808.
Well, nobody's a bigger, well, there's probably some people out there, but not many people are bigger fans of, there are not many people that are bigger fans of the 808 than me. I love the 808. The 808 is tight. But I do think that there's something to be like, how do we know some of the stuff that just the frequencies alone just being emitted is not in some way manipulating something inside of it? I mean, outside of an emotional reaction, like how do I know that this is not
Well,
deep wired
well,
going
Andrew,
into
I can tell you we don't even need to like guess at it because there are certain chords that when they're hit by a chorus of human beings will make your hair stand up on your arm whether you want it or not. You'll get
Father?
goosebumps all over. So
Do you know?
we don't
Do
even have to
you?
guess at it. It
In the
happens.
devil's mode.
I feel like I
Yeah.
don't have to, but I'm just going to ask Father anyway. Have you heard why Tony Iommi wrote the that first Sabbath riff?
You're talking about the devil's mode?
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
because you just referenced that. Okay, my
Yeah.
fault. Yeah. It's a very dissonant riff that's supposed to like summon the devil.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
So,
there's the devil's tone, which is it's a dissonant chord. You learn it in like music theory, whatever. That's a thing, you know. Um, yeah. All these things. Listen, it's so interesting because um, I saw this interview with David Bowie. I think it was like Stations era. Stations era, if you guys are following me at all. And it's a real fascinating interview because he's talking about it's the most randomest thing. He's talking about technology that uses frequency that can, level cities. Have you seen this before?
no, but I've heard of this.
You know what I'm talking
I
about?
feel like I might have seen clips of that interview actually.
Yeah. Well, the thing
But of
is,
course, of why I mean,
yeah,
how could it? Of
yeah.
course that is possible.
So the thing is, what's interesting to me is like, okay, check this out. Um, it was like I'm sending it to you right now, black noise bomb. It might be fun for everyone to kind of like get a dig on this one. And I want to kind of go in on it because um I've been in the book of man, I shouldn't say this. Uh Book of Enoch, but when you got people, it's just like let me just kind of throw out the big kind of like wowzer for everybody. One of the things about what's happening is we're in the apocalypse. Everything is being revealed. So we understand that, right? But also understand this, as Christ approaches us, it's like Christ is the light. So all these things come out to play. But the thing is, not coming out to play like they weren't there before, meaning like they're coming to the surface. And it's interesting to me because when we start seeing how seduced we've been, what's interesting is you would think it would summon repentance, but it doesn't. Like that's the thing is it's not really summoning repentance from people. For a lot of people it is, but for some people it just kind of pushes them deeper in the kind of rabbit hole of like knowing stuff. And I just want to say this real quick, because I want you to play a thing. I just want to say this real quick
Yeah.
because as long as we're saying all this, I have to give my, PSA, my priest service announcement.
Nice.
Um, it is like this is fine, and I obviously people those who watch, the two people who watch us, uh, they appreciate our platform, but like the thing is, always remember, if you take information and do nothing with it, it's just weight and a burden on your mind and on your soul. I just wanted to say that, but anyways, this clip is fantastic.
Before I play this, when you said knowing everything, I just find it interesting. We're talking about music. We're
Mhm.
talking about the level of seduction of music and the demonic. And I
Mhm.
think that the best modern example of that has got to be The Weeknd, right? Because
Oh
he's like,
man.
I mean, he's
Really?
the one, right? Because
But
he's
he
the
was
most.
Ethiopian Orthodox,
He's
by the way. You know that?
That's what I'm saying. That's
Did you know that?
exactly why, because he's an inversion.
Mm-hmm.
He's doing hymns, but he's inverting them. And
Mm-hmm.
it's interesting to me that one of his most that even when I was like I encountered him when I was in the occult, so I was like, oh, this guy is like really on it. But
Mm-hmm.
the song that is like, I mean, he's got many, but in his
Mm-hmm.
early stage where I was like, oh, this guy is like he's talking to demons. The song is called The Knowing, and
Mm-hmm.
his and the entire chorus is just him singing I know everything over and over again.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it's like, well, that's what it's driving people. He was
That's what's
and this is 2010, right? He was already driving at anyway. I'm just gonna say that I can't listen to The Weeknd anymore. Like I used to love The Weeknd,
yeah.
profound. I mean, obviously one of the greatest artists that's ever been, but I would not suggest listening to The Weeknd.
But I want to
That's
say
all.
this, forgive me, Cyprian. I don't want to offend you, and I don't want to take anything from you. But I just
Please
want to take this snapshot because it's one thing if I say it and people
go
are like,
ahead.
okay, whatever. It's another thing when you say it or if Andrew says it or if anyone says it in the sense of I can't listen to something anymore.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
No, no, no. I don't want to. I don't. I just cannot gloss over that because one of the things is I'm not into the I'm not into the like the praxis aesthetical virtue signaling. I'm saying this is like you saying I can't listen to something anymore. I think I just want people to take a snapshot of that and say like, yeah, this is practicing what we preach. Like you have to come when you these conversations which people try to have is fine, is one thing, but here's the difference. Actually doing something with it and saying like, yeah,
Right.
I can't engage in this anymore because you can say to yourself, yeah, it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. It's just a song, whatever. Okay. Over time, though, it
Yeah.
is a big deal. And I just had to kind of, we're in the fast, right? We're in the fast. So
Yep.
it's like,
Yep.
anyways,
Fair enough.
And I just
And I
have to
appreciate you
say, no,
doing
I'm
that,
just
brother.
kidding. I'm just kidding. I don't have anything to say.
Okay. Okay. Here. So here's Bowie talking about a black noise bomb that could destroy cities. Here we go.
What is black noise?
Black noise.
Yeah.
Black noise is something that Barrow's got very interested in. It's
Yeah, intrigued
well,
by
no,
it.
it's one facet of black noise is that everything, like a glass, if an opera singer hits a particular note, the vibrations are that of the metabolism of the glass and it cracks it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So black noise is the register within which you can crack a city or people, or it's a new controlled bomb. It's a noise bomb, in fact, which can destroy.
Is
Why do you ask
it
that?
a real
Where'd you get
thing?
that
I mean,
from?
is it something that's
Oh, it
actually
is, yeah.
somebody's
It was
experimenting
invented in
with?
France.
Could a tyrant use it to...
Well, until last year, you could buy the patent for it in the French patent office for about equivalent of $3-4.
it's concentrated
It depends
sound
how
waves.
much money you put into it. I mean, a small one could probably kill about half the people here, but a big one could destroy a city, or even more. I mean,
It's a weird idea.
don't look at. It's not my idea.
No. Well, let's not give the instructions on how to do it.
That's it.
yeah, did you catch when he was like, why'd you ask that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That was
And
interesting.
and I just want to throw this out too, so people I know just all the whatever can be like blah blah blah. But listen, I'm pretty sure that's during the stations. Um, it's either right before, or right around stations, and the thing is, if you know Bowie, you understand that that was also the time when his disciplines became very explicit. And it's also, if you pay attention in Black Star, he gives that nod to because in the Black Star video when he goes back, he comes out of the wardrobe and he's wearing his same outfit from Stations, And if you look at the album cover, he's there with Yggdrasil, with the Tree of Life, whatever. Now, that's one thing. And he was, he's a Kabbalist. Kate Bush, who I love, right? I love Kate Bush. But you have to understand something. I love Kate Bush, but I have to acknowledge it is what it is. She has a song called Experiment 4. And this song is essentially about, it's fiction. It's whatever. It's telling a story. But it's basically about um, musicians being gathered and being asked to help make um, a sound or machine that could kill someone, right?
Hmm.
Um, and we can be like, oh, that's a fun little story, blah 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 blah. You know what I mean? Why am I saying this? Why is it all matters? Because I think what people really lose sight of is um, how holistic and complete the faith is for a reason.
Hmm.
And one of the things where I was talking about is like problem with ideology. You know, all these new people coming in for politics and ideology, and you cannot stop short there. You cannot stop short of morality. The praxis and the ascetical, the orthodoxy has to be ascetical. Why? Because it's the means of asceticism that allows you to enter to the sacramental life properly. And the sacramental life, if you understand what I'm saying to you, what's coming and what's been happening, don't just think about it as quote unquote like psyop in regards to the intellect. It's on all facets of the body. The liturgy is analog for a reason. And so there are these things, you know, as opposed to digital or whatever, there are these things that
Great.
the problem with the quote unquote occult isn't that it's not real, isn't that it doesn't work. And that's why when people talk about like, oh, such and such is a huckster, blah, blah, blah. People who say stuff like that, just to be really simple, they've never done anything. If you've done something, you know that like LaVey and all that stuff, it has its place.
Exactly.
It has its place, but it isn't the thing, right? The thing is underneath that, and it's in upper echelons of movement and power and all that stuff, and it's holistic. It isn't just intellectual; it's incarnational too. If you understand what I'm saying, right? And so the thing is this is why I'm just saying, isn't it interesting where I'm going to get sued for this? It's okay. It's okay. I've been taking a cue from my boy Cyprian. I've been getting into Cotton Mather and just I'm kind of like following some stuff there. But
Oh yeah, man.
we can talk about that. But anyways, like I know how to recant things. Anyway, so like check this out. You know, when you think about what's happened, let's just say here in the States, right? And I'll just say the thing that no one wants to hear, right? Quiet parts out loud. You know, I can do it too. The GOA and the general, there's always exceptions, but the general decline of ascetic practice, it isn't just about like watered down, quote unquote, orthodoxy. There's a whole thing that happens to a people when their praxis begins to wane, because the waning of practice also means the waning of a certain kind of connection in regard to the sacramental life, if you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And that's why all this matters.
Oh, so
right?
much. It's funny that you're saying this, Father, because I was thinking, I don't know why this concept came into my head as we were about to start this. And then you go, please keep going, because clearly this is what we're supposed to be talking about. Because I'm not going to say it anymore. Please keep going. Drill deeper there.
So people will often ask me, they'll be like, well, how do I know what Orthodox church to go to, blah, blah, blah. And like, what's funny is we shouldn't even have to talk like that, but we do now, right? Especially in light of things formally coming forward. And I always say this, you need to go to the place where it's still salty. If it's not salty, right? Well, what does that mean? Is the ascetical life taken seriously in that parish? Yes or no? It's real simple. It's not about, at this point, I'm not saying jurisdiction, I'm not saying whatever. Real simple. In that community, is the ascetical life taken seriously or not? Right? This isn't about people playing monk. This isn't about being, whatever, but it is about taking the thing seriously. Because I'm going to tell you something. I've been putting certain things together, and I've just, I am my own guinea pig. I am my own canary in the coal mine sometimes. And I've noticed, like, I'm so grateful that God has blessed me to have, enemies, people who can't stand me. They grow by the day. And I'm like, what is the common thread? What I have found is the people who tend to really lose their mind about me or over me, whatever, besides the fact, you got your idolaters, and all that stuff, race warriors, whatever. That's a whole nother thing. But on the other side, it tends to be people who do not take the ascetical life seriously. It tends to be people who actually find the ascetical life of the Orthodox Church to be antiquated and one of the things that need to be kind of gotten rid of. And if this makes sense, right? This makes sense. The thing with the movement and the overtures of the EP, which means the GOA, and Rome coming together is like, well, what has been the big thing? Like, everyone knows that, I mean, again, even those coming from the Roman Church will be like, yeah, it's like there's no semblance of ascetical life there at all anymore.
Where are their monks? They've got no monks. Where are their monks?
Right. And that's where is the undermining of the ascetical life coming from in the broader church? Well, and it's not coming from the Slavic churches, right? It's right. So I'm just saying, this isn't about piety signaling. It's about something a bit more deeper. It's about there's a reason why certain churches made those overtures during COVID in regards of Holy Communion. If you do not understand, if you do not have ears to hear what I'm saying,
Father, you know what this is? You know what came to my mind when you were like, how do I choose the church to go to? And it was like the saltiness. I think this might help some people, especially of our generation. Rocky 3. I'm pretty sure it's 3, right? Rocky 3.
Is that the one with Ivan Drago?
No, that's 4.
Okay.
Rocky 3.
Even I knew that.
Rocky 3, the theme is Eye of the Tiger, right?
Oh.
It's when Apollo Creed, it's the scene. If people want to know what salty is and how you know where to go, because it's like, what boxing gym should I go to? When Apollo Creed takes Rocky, who's now been a champion, right? They're both two wealthy men, both former champions, and he takes him to Philly, into the hood. Or is he from New York? I think because he's originally Philly.
But I don't quote me on it.
Anyway, he takes him to because they're both from Philly. He takes him to his gym in the hood. I don't know what neighborhood it is, and he walks him in. And he says, you see, Rocky, you see that look in their eyes? That's the eye of the tiger. And that seed, when it sweeps the boxers who are in there, and that look in their eyes, that's the salt. Right? That's the salt right there. And it's like, you know what? That's it. That's in the eye of monks. That's in the eye of monks. Yeah. That's in the eye of ascetics. They have that look.
That's exactly it. And that look, and that's the thing now where people want to take the out of that and just like, no, that's too. I deal with it all the time. And this gets back to, we haven't talked about this in so long, this term right here, because these things kind of come in and out of vogue, but I got receipts, right? It's like, hey, this kind of neosurgeonism, you know what I mean? And like all of these things that we saw in regards of capitulations and all this stuff, it's like, it isn't just about, I'm not going to compromise just because I'm not going to compromise. I mean, that's great and that's fine. But stubbornness doesn't always make you right. I just want to say that. This isn't about being stubborn. This is about the two hounds. There's the one, you got the scent, right? But the one who's seen the hound will not give up. If you want to see
the hound that's seen the hair.
Excuse me.
The hound that's seen the hair, yeah.
The hound that's seen the hair. The one who's got the scent, that's fine. If they lose the trail, the scent, they'll give up. But the one who's seen the hair won't give up. That's what that look in the eye is. But you won't get that. Listen, guys, man, I don't know how to explain it. I know I'm inarticulate. Help me. You will not see, like, the ascetic life is the way to see it, because literally incarnationally, you have to decrease. Guys,
The fast.
it's just I was literally just about to say, guys, fast. Like people don't understand. People fast. The majority of people in the Orthodox Church, I am telling you, I will stand by this. Call whoever you want to call. Uh, the majority of people in the Orthodox Church, they fast for religious reasons. That's fine. I'm not knocking that. That's fine. It has its place. But I just want everyone to understand something really quick. The purpose of the fast, yes, it's great for you to have self-control. It's great for you to have greater mastery of yourself, but you can go be a stoic and do that. You can go do whatever. You can be a Hindu and do that. You know what I'm saying? The purpose of the fast is for us to be you have to take the individualism out to some degree, because the purpose of the fast is for us to be moving as a body. You guys ever read the Old Testament? And a solemn fast is called, right, for a purpose, right? Guys, when we enter the fast, why do we do it? Is it like, okay, it's the nativity fast, I want to prove how much of a Chad I am by not eating meat and cheese? You fool. That's not it. The solemn fast is moving us towards something. Old Testament, right? That's like the solemn fast. Don't go towards a woman, fast, and then like I'll come down upon the mountain. You understand what I'm saying? What are we moving towards? The incarnation, the resurrection. You see what I'm saying? Like these are solemn movements of a body of the people who are to be preparing themselves to encounter holiness. Holiness.
I feel like we're coming full circle to the Theotokos, Father, right now. I feel like we're coming full circle. Why we have to keep her as mediatrix? Why that was such a problem for him to try to remove?
We do not understand, and this is the thing, as I was saying this today. Saint Irenaeus talks about this. Other fathers talk about this. But the Mother of God, she's the first Christian, y'all, right? She's the first one. And if you understand what I'm about to tell you, right? We are the bride of Christ, right? But we are to birth Christ. We are to carry Christ within us. Not too far away from how she did also. I know that people are gonna like, what? I don't understand. I know you don't understand. But I'm telling you, once you begin, if you have the ears to hear, and if you can't hear, pray so that you can hear. Because once you do that, you'll never go back. You'll never be indifferent towards your ascetical life, towards your sacramental life, because you'll understand that it's way more literal than you ever thought it was. Right? St. Maximus Confessor, Christ dwells fully in the virtues, right? To birth virtue, right, is not just about having some sort of moral assent. It's about an actual change, actual transformation. And that's why all of this is so necessary, because again, I get it, whatever, but like, if you just want, and again, I keep saying it because like, I'm not convinced that more and more people are coming to the church because they want a deeper spiritual life and they want Christ. I'm still not convinced. I still think a lot of people are coming because it's popular and because it's catching on, and just like, look, it's fine. I just want to say this, whatever, but it's just like, and I'm going to connect this to the Mother of God, right? The jokes are fine. That's cool. You know what I mean? Locker room talk is fine, I guess. You know what I mean? But like I was saying, I wasn't trying to undo Cyprian or Andrew, but that's part of the thing. It's just like, I try to encourage everyone, my spiritual children, right? Like, actually, it's not about being perfect overnight, but it is about like, when you see the thing, you got to cut out, you got to cut it out. Whether it's the weekend, whether it's Danzig, whether it's, too much, whatever, you got to cut it out. Because if the Holy Spirit is showing you something, the Holy Spirit is showing you something for a reason. To the pure, all things are pure, right? It's the chemical makeup spiritually and incarnate and physically, psychosomatic, that thing is interacting with you on the whole.
Yeah.
It's throwing off your vibrations, man. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, for you, that thing, that something about that perfect makeup of the memories associated with listening to The Weeknd and the way that those things can kind of kick in and then move and then kick in endorphins on stuff. The way that it can just hook you, it's not going to hook Jimmy the same way. But for you, if that's where your personal little like, Achilles heel is, you better listen. Why? Because it's not so much about don't do something, it's about leaving off something for the greater good. We talked about this a couple, whatever, some point earlier in the year, whatever. It's like you're always trying to move towards something higher. And God knows you can't just jump in and act like you're a holy starets or elder. You're not a Yorunda. So it's like, yeah, it starts off with you not listening to The Weeknd and you not doing whatever, but it's not going to end there. It starts there. And it starts you saying yes, because here we go. The mother of God. She's completely human, everybody. Completely human. But you know what she did? She said yes.
Mhm.
She said yes. May be done according to me, right? As my Lord wills. That's where it starts. But it doesn't end there. Because guess who St. Paisios is? Or guess what St. Paisios is, right? Guess what St. Sophrony is? Guess what St. Joseph is? Guess what St. Theophan is? They've birthed Christ within them, right? I was just talking about this in like one of the Synaxis interviews I did with Reader Nick. And I was like, he's like, what's a spiritual father? I said, spiritual father is someone who's birthed Christ. If you understand that paradox there, Father birthed Christ. Notice I didn't say begat Christ.
No birth. Yeah.
Birthed Christ. That paradox, that's not a typo, it's not a misstep. I meant that. Right? This is the chiasm. This is where this all starts coming together. This is St. Paul. There's neither male nor female, right? But people don't have the mystical ears and eyes to hear this stuff, right? And so they end up falling short. It's just kind of like, okay, that's great. But as the waves of seduction come in, and that's where it all started, right? Seduction. Eve was deceived. Adam was not, right? But Adam abdicated, right? But that deception, as those waves just kind of keep reverberating out, and you keep just thinking like, yeah, I'll just kind of do my bare minimum and do whatever. It's like you don't realize that that's why vanity is such a problem. Who are you trying to impress, right? Like, who cares how long your prayer rule is? But you should care. You should care. It shouldn't be about you telling someone else, but you should care how long your prayer rule is. Why? Because that prayer rule is dialing something in, right? Like talking about like, oh, I don't eat, faux meat products because blah, blah. Okay, that's cool. That's cool. But the second you make a big thing about, not eating faux meat products, but then you turn around and you're going to spend half of your day, making fun of, some people group or whatever. Like, who cares what you didn't eat anymore? You see what I'm saying? It's like, this all has to be dialed in. And that's why it's like, look, guys, if you haven't met it yet, I mean, this is why they say it's going to be harder and harder to find spiritual fathers. Why? Because no one's salty anymore. No one's salty, right? And salty isn't being able to crack a nice racist joke and get a laugh. That's not salty. That's just channeling demonic energy and trying to be like, ha, 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 right? There's a reason why the fathers talk about not laughing. So like, forgive me, like I joke, whatever, but like, sometime, anyways. Point being is that the teachings of the church are there for a reason. And the reason why someone may think it's not is just because they haven't. But if you want to get dialed in, understand really what it means to be dialed in. And it isn't about having your quote unquote, orthopedic, your ortho wiki.
Orthopedic.
I got orthopedic.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Man, I got orthopedic. Your ortho wiki dialed in.
Ortho wiki.
Well,
I find it interesting in this, Father, that, and because it's funny, because it was something that It came up actually at lunch. We were having lunch with Father Nectarios and another. I don't know if you know him, Father Octavian, who's also there in Hawaii. He's a Romanian priest. But anyway, they both came with the icon. Obviously, Father Nectarios came with the icon. It came up at lunch that Father Nectarios, and I don't remember what it was, but he, and it was kind of almost apropos of nothing, where he said, it's much easier for an occultist to become Orthodox than most Protestants.
Yeah.
Right. And I was like, oh, guilty as charged. You know what I mean? But we got to talking about it, and it was basically like, it's the mysticism. It's the acknowledgement of the mystical aspect of reality that an occultist knows it. And that was true for me, that it's like, I know this to be real, but when I look at Christianity, what I thought Christianity was, I was like, oh, you guys have nothing for this, so you don't even know what's real, so I can dismiss you out of hand. Right. And I think that it's very interesting that, like, I feel like there's a thread here, what we're talking about, that it's like the move seems to be, and it's so slick when you see it that way, the move seems to be, let's attack the mystical, right? Because it seems to me to be the two things, to where it's like the mysticism, because that's the saltiness comes from the mysticism. Like the look in the eyes, the eye of the tiger is a mystical statement. Like it's a feeling. Clearly, there's a mystery that's going on of what's happening inside of these boxers at a spiritual level that's not taking place in someone who doesn't have the eye of the tiger, right?
Well,
and the asceticism is driving us to it. And it's like, I feel like all of these things are an attack on holy traditions, mystical aspect, and thus stripping away, as you say, like an entire piece of the fullness of reality and making it easier to discount Christianity.
100%.
Well,
because when the mystical is there, you cannot discount it. And even the occultist is like, it's true. It's the other team, but at least I know it's true.
At least in the circles I run in, like the people who I talk to, who granted 90% of the people that I work with at my work at adult detox, for people who are detoxing from drugs, 90% of them are in some form quasi-Christian. And I have seen this like thing happen in the last couple of years, or probably I would say the last year, where they're waking up to some of the mystical aspects of reality. So I would almost posit rather that what's being pushed is kind of an anti-mysticism, because it's not been my experience that Protestants, even Catholics, maybe even a little bit more so, are certainly open to the idea of mystical experiences being an aspect of reality, because they're 100% kind of on board with that, and they're totally in favor of not really like satanic panic, but almost like kind of quasi-satanic panic, like, don't buy used clothes from, Salvation Army because they might have dark energy in them or something like that, which, I think probably is true to a degree, but also when it's what the saltiness is like that meme I think I shared a long time ago with you guys, where it's like what people think the spiritual life / repentance looks like. And it's the end of that meme format with the mind expanding, to like encompass new realities or whatever. But it's really what it is. It's like that dog with like a party hat sitting in front of like a cupcake with like the one candle. And it's like, I'm kind of an idiot. And like, wow, I messed up a lot or something like that. And that's what it's actually like. I think that is the part where I always lose everybody, because this is something I wanted to say earlier. It is interesting because I don't remember exactly what happened to this guy, but I have a feeling he was an IV Coke user. And I remember I was very much able to explain to him what wickedness is. And I was like, but I kept having to draw it back to be like, but man, I just want to say, you are participating in this. But like, that was not the part that he was focusing on. The part that I was like, look, there is real evil in the world. There are drug cartels that are absolutely fueled by demonic energy. And this is what's polluted. And I went through this, and he was like right on board with like, yeah, we need to do something about this. This is a huge problem. But the feeling I had was like, this dude's just going to still go back and use IV cocaine. The part that where you lose people is the repentance.
Right.
Like, no, people are down for hallucinogenic mushrooms. People are
Right.
down for DMT. People are down for ketamine. They're down for chemically induced, but not invalid spiritual experiences.
Right.
The part is when you get to, yeah, but you need to knock off your porn habit.
Right.
You need to stop eating out like 3 times a day and stuff like that.
So the thing is this is super important because mysticism is the problem, like the mystical, and that's to some regard the desacralization that was blatant, by the way. It had been implicit, but it was blatant and explicit in 20.
Was just
And-
about to say, yeah, absolutely.
And so don't let me get too far because Andrew hit it on the bullseye with repentance. That's where I want to go. Don't let me get too far, but let me just say this. It was blatant, explicit in 20. You know, like there's, there's a priest, there's other priests, one in particular who wrote this article about people who, questioned the COVID narrative were snake handlers and stuff like that, which I am a snake handler, by the way, but not an Appalachian one. So anyways, I digress. So, but that desacralization is a part of the thing, and the changing of the praxis is the move. So you don't need to get after the dogma. You change the praxis and you change the people. And for everything I just said last, 45 minutes ago, when you understand that, it's not just about like, I'm in the club because I do X, Y, and Z. It's like, no, you're in the club because you're getting transformed ontologically, right? So there's that. But here's the thing, the mystical experience, it's all super important. It's all this and that. But the thing, and this is it, because like Andrew just said, you can get the DMT, you can get your clockwork elves, you can do all your stuff, whatever. That's totally fine. Ayahuasca, that's all there. But that next level, it is repentance and it's prelist. It's sobriety. It's like you go so full circle with it. And that's where it's like, okay, that's all there. It's like you try to tell, charismatics, right? Charismatics who want just like gold dust and like all the stuff coming. It's like, yeah, that's great. But check this out. The highest level of spirituality is sobriety.
Yeah.
It is. It's watching out for prelist. And someone's like, oh, come on. Blah, blah,
especially
blah, blah, blah.
nowadays, Father, especially nowadays, forgive me, but like it's almost impossible to be sober in any way in the world.
In any real way.
2025.
Any real way.
Yeah,
You know what's kind of
really
funny?
difficult.
I got in my mind someone who accused me of not being sober, which, okay, whatever. And it's funny because someone sent me a thing like on there's like the X Orthodox thing, like someone called me a loon. I'm like, I am a loon. I guess I am a loon.
I would just say, like, I don't think Father would argue that.
I don't argue that, right? And so I have in my mind someone who used to accuse me of, not being sober because of these things right here, these rantings, whatever. But you know what's funny? Go ahead and check what I'm saying. Don't mistake the cadence and the whatever, because I'm going to tell you what I mean by sobriety, and I'm going to show you how it plays out. And I want to apologize. Cyprian will understand what I'm saying. And anyone who's practiced seriously will understand what I'm saying. You start really making movements when you're able to withstand suggestion. Like when you start being able to encounter and withstand and hold, I mean, this is, I don't want to blur the line too much for people, but just understand that being able to resist the will and the suggestions of the spirits is where you actually start to cook, if that makes sense. And so the thing is like, that's why sobriety is like, dispassion is what the Neptic fathers call it. That's like highest level stuff. And those who know, like that's the thing. And that's what the church offers. And how does the church offer it? Not by the wielding of the will, as in, 6, iron, right? But rather an absolute new creation, right? Which for us is 8, which is the Christ, right? And it's rooted in truth. I'm able now to withstand deception, seduction. Seduction goes all the way back primordial to the garden. I can withstand that. I can move in the world because of the new creation, because of Christ, because my being is grounded on the Christ, who is the incarnation, the fullness of the Godhead of truth. Once you understand that, that's why this whole thing of like the coming in of the ortho whatever guys, there is a certain level of that, which is why I'm talking about it so much, is because like what people don't understand is I learned this years ago. Orthodoxy is the thing that's either going to, it's the rope that pulls you out of hell, or it's the rope that makes the noose that's going to hang you.
Yeah.
Introducing people to the church doesn't guarantee you salvation, y'all. Quite the opposite. For some of these people, it's actually they were better off never hearing.
Well, they're on the front lines. They're on the front lines of the spiritual. Like, you're in the army now. Before, you were just, you were a civilian who maybe you would get rolled over in the whole thing.
You're at the cafe.
You're in uniform. Yeah, you're in uniform now.
Yeah.
Father, I mean, I think that would probably be like a teaching is that like all of this stupidity that we've enacted on ourselves, all the war, all the death, all the whatever, is just to get us, as God allowing us this stuff to happen, to get us to the point where we can do the thing that Eve was not able to do, which is just ignore the suggestion. It's just to get us to a point where we can just ignore suggestions. And like all of that is to just get us to a place, because you've worked with me a lot on this without getting too into it. If it's not about just, okay, well, I'm going to quit energy drinks for Lent and saying, oh, I hate energy drinks. Oh, I hate energy drinks. I don't want energy. It's no, I am fiending for this. And rather than zoning out and or like finding a way to distract myself or whatever, I make a conscious decision in this little point in my life, this little lane, I'm going to choose Christ instead of the energy drink. And by that, I take something on. And can you pass the coming Gom Jabbar? Can you stand and put your hand in the box and like sit there and sweat it out for 10 minutes so that you can actually say, instead of this thing, I'm going to choose, which is then, because that 10 minutes, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't know how long it took for Eve to say yes, but for the 10,000, or for to say yes to the serpent, for the 10,000 years of civilization of God's documented interaction with humanity is just to get us all that to a point where he can get a nation of people who can resist suggestions. That's just like, man, whoever doubts that God loves us, like just for a second, it's just like, just think of man, I struggle with picking people up from the airport, let alone like transform an entire race of people.
Theotokos, she's there to your left, right? She's proof that God loves us because she said yes. Yeah. She wasn't about the no, I hate this, no, I hate that. She was about the yes. And that's the thing is when we're able to really look to our mother and be like, yes, we enter into the temple. And it's in that space everything begins. Because once we enter in the temple, then we become temple.
Can I say something about Andrew, about that moment that you were talking about, that moment of like, I'm fiending for this, but I'm making this decision. And in some ways it's like, I think it's perfect. Like that you're not making the decision of like, no. That's a very like worldly type of thing, right? To where it's like, no, deny yourself this, that it's like, because I hate to use this term, but I don't know what else to use. There is something that is spiritually energetic that is happening at that moment, right? Yeah. And there is a kind of a transmuting that can take place in that, because clearly you're energized by this fiendingness, right? Yeah. And what, from my own personal experience, in those moments, and this is just like, you wouldn't think it, or maybe you would, maybe it makes sense, maybe it is intuitive. In those moments, like, my prayers are so much more powerful. If I go and I pray in that moment, if the yes that I choose is to turn towards Christ and to turn towards the Theotokos and to pray and to do something that maybe I wouldn't be doing normally in my prayer rule, but maybe it's an akathist, maybe it's prostrations more, maybe it's these things.
Now you're cooking.
It's just
Now you're cooking.
I walk away from that like, wow,
God actually heard
and the
that.
thing is, I can't hit that. You're right. That's what it is. God heard it because I'm like, man, I can't hit that.
No.
I can't hit that moment. I can't do that move when I'm not fiending, when I don't need it, when I'm not really reaching out like that.
I think about that moment a lot because that's a moment I discuss a lot at work with people. And it's trauma informed in the sense that like I know the population I'm working with. And generally that Gom Jabbar thing works for men, especially intellectual white dudes like me, who are suffering from probably some kind of opiate or meth addiction that you can say like, whatever. But it's in that moment of you just learn that, I don't know, it's like you just learn all this stuff about you in that moment of really just like about to step over your own mother to get the thing
that's the truth.
And then you turn to Christ and it's like, man, I'm seeing like, and that's how you know, because like the opposite, which is what I still tend to err towards, is just shutting down. And then there's no life in you. You're not interacting with anything other than your being deprived of that thing. And that is a short road to grumpiness. So that's how it's like almost at this point, it's better if I just go eat a piece of cheese, like during Lent at this point, because now I'm shut down. I've got nothing going anywhere except in here. And in here sucks right now. So everything is grumpy. It is what it is. And so when people talk and then they're like, well, I just need to make the decision to quit. I'd be like, you can do that. You can do that if you want to. That's really good. But what you're going to find is the most beneficial way is to not act like you don't want this thing. Because I want this thing. I want the thing. And it stinks that more often than not now, I still choose to do it instead. But at the same time, it's like, but there for like a couple minutes, if it's almost like standing, can you stand in front of Christ for those couple minutes? Or are you going to go do the thing? Like, can you stand like in the kitchen while you're doing the dishes and you're fighting the urge to, like, just a real life example, I've been struggling with listening to aggressive music. And I'm like, man, maybe we just lay off for a little while. I'm in a pretty tense situation. We just had another baby. Like, let's just maybe mellow out the vibes of the house. And then the eventual, like, my understanding of like, okay, I'm in the moment. I'm feeling the craving to listen to whatever. And it's like, okay, I get a couple minutes and it's like, I'm almost like standing there before Christ. And it's like, no, I gotta put the distance between us again. Like, it's almost like a subconscious thing. Like, I don't want to, but I'm almost like, I can't handle this anymore. Like, I can't do this anymore. It's too much. It's like, it's too real. And now I know why I wear these glasses. Like, now I know why I do that. And now I know why it's fundamentally extremely important that I learn to live without them to the degree that I can. Because if I can't handle it now, how am I going to handle it then? And if I can't do it now, then how am I going to do it then? And it's interesting because there's an author, and I think I've talked about him before, and I think a couple of people know who he is, but David Foster Wallace, who wrote this amazing book about entertainment and addiction and all this stuff called Infinite Jest. For those who've read it, they know. I'm rereading it right now, and I'm watching a bunch of his interviews, and this is like in the 90s. I was maybe early 2000s, 2001, 2002, where he's talking about they're getting so good at marketing entertainment. Pretty soon, you can just have it all the time. And you can just have it all the time. And in a fundamental way, I think this actually might be from the movie about him, but whatever. And he's like, in a fundamental way, you will die. And it's like, okay. But then the guy kind of
entertaining ourselves to death. Entertaining ourselves to death.
Which is for those who know, that is that's the big part of the book. Is there's an entertainment that is so enthralling. People literally like sit in their own like poop and pee and starve to death watching it because it's so entertaining. But then the guy who's talking to him about that kind of scoffs in a way. It's like, no, you don't understand. In a very real way, a very important part of us is going to die. And it's just like, okay, when you acknowledge that truth and see it for what it is, and you are standing in that moment of like, I'm experiencing truth, and some part of me is still going to choose to go towards entertainment. I just know I'm going to. Then it's like, okay, cool. I can work with that. This is a start. This is the beginning of the doors of repentance opening. So I don't remember why I'm talking about this or anything, but it's maybe it's about time because I'm sundowning pretty hard. Maybe it's time that we wrap. I think I'll just keep going if I don't stop.
Okay, Joe Biden.
Yeah, for real. For real. I need my handler to come out and show me which way is to bed. So
Left, Joe, left.
you just see my wife come out, and I'm just like trying to shake some random person's hand.
Everybody
Like,
knows
I don't know.
Elon bought the mask, but anyways.
Man. Yeah, for real. Yeah, you start to see my lizard mask come off a little bit. The tongue comes out and grabs the fly, goes back in. Okay, so I think that's it for tonight. I think that's 2 hours. I think we're at 2 hours. Yeah, sure.
Pretty
We'll call
close.
That's good.
So I don't remember. We plug a lot of stuff. It's in other episodes. I can't remember.
Synaxis of Sophia is what we're plugging right now.
Please take it away.
That's the key main plug. Everybody else, well, just for this time. Synaxis of Sophia, that's what we're plugging. There's a ton of stuff in the video description people can go to. Father can tell you what.
Check it out, and you can put your clickety-clack comments there.
Yeah, that's funny. That's funny.
Yeah.
So I hope this is good. I'm just trying to think, is there anything else that's really important that I need to plug? I don't think so. Thank you very much, and thanks for having a good night. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Oh, yeah. I don't do that anymore. You stopped recording.